Hi everybody, this is Mr. Funky Teacher with MrFunkyTeacher.com, and what I want to do is talk about finding the least common multiple when it comes to math. So when we say least common multiple, you might see it abbreviated this way: least common multiple. And before we even get started talking about solving for least common multiple, well, let's go ahead and write this out here. We're trying to find the least common multiple. Least common multiple. Now, one number that really sticks out at me is the word least. That word sticks out at me, and when we're looking at least, that means the smallest, least. Looking at synonyms, the very smallest. Now, common it's kind of a trickier word, and I like to think of it like this. If you have a friend and you and your friend have things in common. For example, you both might like stickers. You both might like to go ride your bikes. You might have a lot of things that you both like to do, things that you both have in common. But what's the least thing that you have in common? What's the smallest thing you have in common? It might be something like you both are wearing a red shirt today. You know, that's something a very small, the smallest thing you have in common. It's not a big thing at all. And so when you're finding the least common multiple, you're looking for some common numbers between a set of numbers that a small number that they both have in common. And so let's go ahead and take a look at how we would do this here. 3 and 4, let's say. We have 3 and 4. Now, if we want to find some numbers that they have in common, we can do that. But we not only want to find some numbers that they have in common, but we want to find the smallest number they have in common when we start looking at their multiples. And so let's go ahead and start multiplying these out here and see what we can find for multiples here. All right, we first start by saying 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. Let's go ahead and start on the other side too and work our way up here. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. Now when I look at these numbers here, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 here. And we have over here 4, 8, 12, and 16. These are multiples of 3, and we could have kept going, of course, if we did. We have 4, 8, 12, and 16 are multiples of 4. Do I see a number that they both have in common that is the smallest one? Well, first off, I only see one number that pops up, which happens to be 12. They both have 12 in common. Now, I'm guessing if I'd have kept going multiplying times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10, I would have found some more common numbers that they have in common for common multiples. But when we look at it like this, and we do it this way, 12 shows up as being the least common denominator. And so that's the smallest number they both have in common. It's the smallest one that you can possibly get. And if we do another one, let's take a look at another one. Let's look at 5 and 6. Let's find the least common denominator, or least common multiple for 5 and 6. And so, least common multiple for 5 and 6. Well, we can do 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 8 is 40. Now let's go ahead. We could keep going, but let's see if we can find a least common multiple that they have in common here. Let's multiply on the other side and see what happens. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. Now, let's go ahead and go through these and see if we have a least common multiple here. A least common multiple. I see 5, they don't have 5. No, 5 and 6 don't work. 10 and 12, 15 and 18, 20, 24, 25, 30, 30. Oh! I see one. 30 and 30. It's right there. 30 and 30. So they both, and I don't see that they have anything smaller than that when it comes to their least common multiple. So 30 must be the smallest multiple that they both have in common. They both have in common together, and that's really important. You know, when we go back and we look at this again, you have to know at least. That's the smallest number that they have in common, that they both share. And then when you look at multiple, you multiply. I do hope that this helps you with finding the least common multiple, and that it helps make sense of it more as you go on and do more working with numbers and finding least common multiples in your own math class. Thank you.